Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the challenge. We're excited to host you all this morning and present a little bit of detail about our challenge and introduce you to the man who's inspired us to go down this path. I would like to begin with an acknowledgement that SAIT is situated on the traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, and that the city of Calgary encompasses a region that the Blackfoot nations of southern Alberta described as Mo-Consistus, meaning elbow, in reference to its location at the confluence of the Bow and Elbow rivers. Since time immemorial, this region was a traditional gathering place for the nations of the Blackfoot Confederacy. We are meeting on the traditional territory and welcome others, which today includes the Indigenous Treaty Nations, Métis, and people of the world who now make the city of Calgary their home. Of the Treaty 7 region in southern Alberta, this includes the Siksika, the Piikani, the Kainai, the Tsuut'ina, the Stoney Nakoda First Nations, and the Northwest Métis Homeland, Region 3. I apologize in advance for my pronunciation because I know it's not fantastic. The agenda today is a bit of an introduction, some context setting for the project. We will have a special message from Chief Patrick Michel, and then we'll talk briefly about the project partners, and then we'll dig into the overview of the challenge, the requirements, and then we'll leave plenty of time for question and answers at the end. So we'll get started right away. Thank you very much, Astrid. So this project is actually very much community-led and community-driven. It is focused entirely on the rebuilding efforts of the Lytton region. Kanaka Bar Indian Band has stepped forward in great solidarity with everyone in the region who's been impacted by recent major climate events in the last 8 months, and are looking to develop some sound solutions to be able to build back better, to withstand these climate events, and do so in an affordable way, in a meaningful way for the community. So we're going to be developing a suite of viable options for residential building, and that's through medium and long-term rebuilding activities that can be adopted by other communities in the region. Next. So I'd like to introduce Chief Patrick Michel, Chief of the Kanaka Bar Indian Band, because I think that his presentation and context will really support and emphasize some of the points that we're going to be speaking about today. Chief Patrick.
Oh, so good. Thank you, Melody, for that introduction as well as setting the stage. So Akwint Lo Shukshnuka, Cookstebeth Cookby, thank you, Creator, for this day and for the gift of life and power and choice. And thank you for everyone for choosing to be part of this event. So my opening slide deck, I just wanted you guys to know this is the intercontinental line showing in the red polygon. And Kanaka Bar, located approximately 14 kilometers south of Lytton, has these watersheds that support our community and have done so for more than 8,000 years. Kanaka is semi-arid and semi-coastal, and our community, as well as our region, has experienced the best and worst of weather and the climate change impacts on the same. In 1988, we became aware of, we'll call it anthropogenic climate change. It's taken off, so we knew what was coming, and now it's here. And so I just gathered a couple of signs from an October 15th event. Are you ready for what's happening in real time? So to create the setting, Lytton was always known as Canada's hotspot, but I don't think anybody expected us to hit to 55 degrees Celsius. It was tough. It's caused loss of life. It's caused loss of animals. It caused loss of field crops, and it caused, unfortunately for my region, as well as the village of Lytton and Lytton First Nations, we lost buildings. So unprecedented, but not unexpected. Then you get this next event, which is November 14th and 15th, what come to be known as the atmospheric river. This was a bit more surprising. Obviously, being semi-arid and semi-coastal, we do get rain, but certainly not this rain that just wiped out our intakes, put bedload into our head ponds, our reservoirs, that took out the transportation corridors. Again, you're just recovering from a heat event, and then this happens. And then all of a sudden now we move into another event. And I didn't know how to just basically say, other than saying, we're not the prairies, we're the north, are apparently Ottawa. But we seem to have hit, so minus 26.5. Again, never in the living memory or in our collective, maybe there was a time that we were over, but we had sustained super cold weather. And as a result, we lost the water lines as well as septic systems. So water in, water out. And I just saw a hydro bill for one of my members, $1,000. So extreme cold also has an impact on our community. But, you know, we also had to smile because what the heck is that? I had to go speak to some elders, and they said one time in January of 1965 that we got this much snow. So not only do we have this extreme cold, we had this incredible dump of snow. And of course, this dump of snow is again wreaking havoc as it's thawing today in terms of our roads, as our ditches, as well as creating saturation of our septic fields. So in short, we're not ready. Our bills from yesterday and even potentially today are not ready for these extreme weather events. So what can we do? So we got together as a community and we said, okay, let's see if we can put together a system study, a building envelope, and put together these four to eight buildings, but where? So on January 17th, we said, let's have a look at some locations at Kanaka Bar. And what happens is, well, there it is. That's Kanaka Bar. That's Lower Kanaka. This is Site 2. When the chief is given pencil crayons, this is what he can produce. So as of January 18th, we've started construction on some traditional builds. So we're just basically, the plan was to move a little bit north. We'll call it Northern TCP. And of course, I'm smiling away because when I showed this to the team, that's what they hit me over the head with. Apparently, Team Kanaka has something called CAD or InfoWorks or whatever. So chief of the pencil crayon, but you bring yourself with professionals and stuff like this. So I call this slide, the team takes away my crayons. Yeah. So I got, even by dragging to the site, it was a dark and cool day. So I took as many of Kanaka Bar's team here on January 26th. And this also includes the mayor of Lytton, which is the second to the right, because he's waiting for the results of both the study and the build to see if he can use the results of the study and the build to help him rebuild back his municipality. As a result of our inspections, we now come down to the fact that it's conceptually possible to build 4 two-bedroom duplexes on the land that is available. That doesn't mean we can't do more. So as part of the envelope study, as well as the system study, we've said we'll look at 4 possible buildings. We may be able to do more, but it is compressed. We can't do it all. We can't do it all at once, but we'll do the best we can with the information that you all supply to Kanaka Bar and to Kanaka Bar's team. So this is my last slide. I promised I wouldn't say it, but at the end of the day, we're all British Columbians and we're all Canadians and everybody poops. Sorry, I meant not to. At the end of the day, we need to know our options for the future. And what does that future look like? What we're doing here will benefit individuals, families, businesses, governments of all sizes, and short Canadians. Okay, please participate. Please share this story. Identify your best systems. Are you in the lighting industry? Are you in the heating industry? Are you in the cooling industry? Are you in the water industry? Share that with our team so that we know what our options are. We're not going to be able to use all the systems or all the envelopes out there, but we'll do the best we can to ensure that everybody can see what a resilient home looks like. We collectively need solutions for the next 100 years, and the study and build will give us those options. It is then up to Canadians to decide their future. That's what choice is. Cook's Jam.
Thank you very much, Chief. That is much appreciated. And I hope that it's inspiring to everyone who's joined the webinar as much as it has inspired us on this project. I will turn this over to David, I believe. Are you going to be taking on these slides?
Sure, thank you, Melanie. Yes, so welcome all. David Sanguinetti from Foresight. I am representing Foresight, and we are one of the 5 project partners. You've heard from Chief Patrick of Kanaka Bar, you've heard from Melanie of SAIT. We also have Okanagan College involved, and Seko Construction. So we've got a number of folks all working together on this, all inspired by Chief Patrick and his vision for what we can do. Next slide, please. So this is a single stage competition. Foresight runs a lot of challenges, and this is going to be the shortest time window we've ever done. And this is pushed by the needs of the community. It's always important to remember, why are we doing any given challenge or any activity? And this is because there are people who need to get back into their homes. So we can't waste time debating about what's the best possible way to do it. We're just going to have to move. And there is a great opportunity here for those of you who are considering applying. There will be 4 to 8 units built. So right now, concept 4 duplexes ready for occupancy September 2022. So moving very quickly, but this is a chance to test a large number of different technologies to see what is the best way of building back better, of building a resilient structure that is both able to withstand what Mother Nature is going to throw at us in the next 100 years, but also be affordable. And so there's a lot of moving parts in this. There are a lot of really tight restrictions, really, but we need to see as many different possible options so we can get the best out on the ground and test them and prove that that we can build back in a way that is resilient. So next slide, please. So there are a number of different parts of a house, as most of you on the call are well aware, and we're interested in just about all of them. So we're looking at the envelope. We're looking at mechanical, we're looking at electrical, we're looking at other pieces that maybe don't fit into these descriptions. If you have a solution that you think we should see, please submit it. You will find the website link both at the end of this presentation and on the Foresight website. You'll find links to it on our partner websites. That's how you get your information to us. Next slide, please. So we are looking for technologies that are ready to go. We want TRL 8 or 9. In other words, we're not, although we are researching these, this is researching from the perspective of an actual commercial build. We are looking for stuff that at a minimum meets BC Energy Step Code 5. So this is high performance housing. And I mentioned before, we're looking for an occupancy of September. So if you are aware of any supply chain issues, whether it's COVID or anything else, please note that that is of significance. If you, once you've actually submitted, if in the couple of months, well, 1 month really between when the submission closes and when we're announcing winners, if you are aware of all of a sudden a price change fluctuation, please alert us. We need to know because we need to be making accurate decisions. Next slide, please. So this is our timeline. Today, February 1st, the challenge is open. The website is live. You can submit your solutions today. February 18th, 4 p.m. Pacific is when it closes. After 4 p.m. Pacific, we won't be open to any new submissions. We are giving ourselves 4 weeks to review and make final recommendations to Chief Patrick and his team, and then the final results will be announced on March 24th. I think I said it before, but this is a very, very tight timeline. So if you are able to submit on February 10th or February 5th, and you've got everything ready, please do. We will be reviewing as things come in, because we need all the time we can get to do a proper job of this, because on the one hand, it is a rush, but on the other hand, we can't mess up on this. So we're putting a lot of effort into it. I perhaps glossed over the team members. SAIT and Okanagan College both have a lot of expertise in green and sustainable building. That's why they're involved. Seko Construction have an awful lot of expertise in actually putting buildings in the ground and building them. And we're leveraging all of that expertise to make sure that what we do works. Next slide, please. So yes, sustainability, this is why we're doing it. We need resilience to extreme heat. We need resilience to fire. We know that these things are happening there. Flooding, wind, cold, heavy snowfall, all of this is going on in that part of the world. It's going on more and more all across Canada. We need to be able to handle these, but we also need very high energy performance, and we want to minimize the embodied carbon. And after everything is said and done, we also need it to be affordable. So these are some really tough hurdles to get over. And we're hoping that through the combined wisdom of all of the people on this call, we're going to get all the tools and technologies we need to be able to do it. Please highlight in your application how you meet all of these criteria. Next slide, please. So yeah, fire resilience, wind resilience, water and flood resilience. And I believe this actually, Ben, you should be speaking to this now.
Thanks, David. So just to reiterate quickly on those evaluation criteria, we want to find solutions that meet as many of the requirements as possible. But if your product does not check all those boxes, please still submit. As you've been learning about the situation that we've been talking about, all the different influences, there's a large amount of it being a design exercise to solve these problems, but we need the best products that we can integrate into those different design concepts. So any product you have that you think might be a good fit for this project, as has already been said, please submit. Let us know how it meets the main criteria we're looking for. With the building solution requirements we're looking at, there's a lot of different things. We want to know what testing you've done on these products as well. Any previous accredited laboratory testing in relation to fire resistance, water flood, mold resistance, other performance metrics. Let's see how they are and how they perform. We've identified, in preparing for this challenge, we've identified minimums for each of these sections and what we're looking for in terms of performance. And we'll test and validate some solutions a bit further as well, looking at the specific environmental conditions that Kanaka Bar has experienced in this past year. Many of you on the call right now that are product manufacturers, you know the ASTM, the CAN ULC testing provisions, they're not real world testing. We want to take those existing testing methods and develop a few more that are more real world, so we can see how these products and systems will perform in these aspects. So we are going to be doing a bit of testing on the solutions that are submitted. And that testing won't necessarily be a pass-fail, whether or not you're going to be included in the final construction, but we just want to gain that information as to how things will perform in that end environment. So we're looking for solutions in all the categories we've talked about, and we're looking at fire, flood, building envelope performance, all these different things. We're looking at how they can all tie together in systems. We're looking for also product solutions that are systems in and of themselves, but we're also looking for parts of those systems that could be integrated with other submissions as well. So we're looking for whatever we can. Next slide, please. So here are the key points we need to know for the submission. All the detailed criteria is on the website. We need submissions kept to 10 pages, and we need to see section details or other illustrations and descriptions of your product itself, but also if it's part of a larger, if for example, you're providing a structural insulation component, part of a larger wall assembly, we want to see how that ties in, how you recommend it be included in a larger assembly or building component. We also need to see basically all of your marketing literature that would be used for the product as well, giving all the data, technical data sheets, standard construction details that are used. So we have the 10-page limit. Also, if you have a lot of information on your website beyond what you can fit in the submission, include that link. So if we do need further information, we know where to find it. And one of the things too, all of you manufacturers of different systems, you have other manufacturers that you've partnered with on previous builds. If you have other systems or components that have worked well in the past, join together on a submission to present a whole larger solution rather than just a specific product. We like to see systems that have been previously proven to work together well. So in short, as part of the challenge, we want you guys to make pitches to us. Let us know how you can solve the rebuild needs of the Kanaka Bar community and the area around that and other communities like that. Give us as much detail as possible on the products and solutions that you have, and let us know how those solutions integrate with other building components.
Thanks so much, Ben. So we're going to open up the floor now to some Q&A. We wanted to, like I said, leave as much time to have discussion as possible. I do want to reiterate, because I know this question is going to come up with the group, in terms of intellectual property and some of those components. I know you're probably thinking, well, what are we, we're building all these homes, we're doing all this testing. So first, we're going to mix and match solutions, whether you're proposing a single solution or a group of solutions, to Ben's point, that work together. We are building 4 separate duplexes. So we're looking at this as an opportunity to test different solutions, to get a really robust list of possible building products, materials, and systems that can be shared with the whole region. And in fact, we're generating a lot of interest with this challenge and with the work that's going on in Kanaka Bar across Canada. So we see some opportunities here to look at a number of things across the board, and then present kind of that piece. These buildings will be monitored for a year after they're built. So there is a monitoring and evaluation period starting on October 1, once they're built. And for a year, we're going to be monitoring every aspect of the building, the energy performance, the wear and tear, the occupant comfort, who's using them, how well they're standing up to general occupant use versus, what kind of climate events, because we know there'll be climate events. So what kind of climate events will happen in the next year and a half that we'll be able to evaluate against? Again, will we have more heavy rains? Will we have more fire? Undoubtedly, yes. How will those materials stand up to the heat and to those kinds of conditions? The intellectual property, as we're doing testing, we'll certainly share the results of the testing. To Ben's point, and to reiterate and just to assuage any fears, the point of that testing is not to discount any solutions. It is actually to push the solutions to new testing levels, because we know that in order to be able to combat wildfires, heavy flooding, extreme cold, the current building standards that we build to are not enough. So we are going to push the products to another level, another limit, to be able to understand how they can perform and where there may be some gaps or where there may be some changes, because we know that certain things are going to change in terms of how they react to a +50 testing methodology versus a +25. We know that that kind of extreme heat will wreak havoc on certain systems, and probably in ways that we can't even predict at this point. So that's the point. That's what we're aiming for with that aspect of the testing. And this is the part of the research of the project. Yes, we're looking for more commercialized type products, but we are still going to be running things through their paces. We won't be publishing that information publicly to say, oh, well, this product performed at this level and this one performed at this level. We recognize that we are in a current economic climate, and we're not trying to, I guess, put down any products that are out there, because we're going to be pushing the limits of them. We will, however, share those results with individual solution providers so that you'll have the results and be able to move forward with them if you so choose. So I just wanted to touch on those things. As David mentioned, it is a very fast-tracked challenge and project. We are moving quickly, so we are trying to keep information updated as much as possible. We will continue to entertain questions and updates throughout the challenge. Let's get started on some of the Q&A right now. So I know Scott Jenkins had a question. Is it possible to meet with the leaders of the community to ensure we are practicing from a respectful stance? We don't want to replicate colonizing ideals. We want to work with the community in a collaborative way. I'm going to ask Chief Patrick to perhaps address this question in terms of preferences.
Certainly. I mean, I engage the other Indigenous leaders quite often. I can tell you this, that every first Monday, council is updated, and that's my entire council, about everything we're working on, including the study and the build. And then on every third Thursday, council again is also updated, as well as membership at 5 o'clock. At Kanaka Bar, we believe that governance is about fair, consistent, transparent, and honest. So everything we know, our membership knows. And if you haven't figured it out by now, you can go onto the website. Thank you, Melanie, for talking about all that stuff. What do you mean I can't give that information away for free? Wankers, it's going on the website. So at the end of the day here is whether or not we need to meet. You're welcome to set up a meeting or have a team meeting and stuff like this with other leadership. Mayor comes down. I meet with Chief Janet Webster quite frequently in person, and not so much as virtually. We're all very busy. We're dealing with the Kamloops 215, as I call it. We're dealing with COVID-19. We're dealing with extreme weather events. You know, you can read the materials that we've compiled to date, the November 12th letter, the November 30th letter. If anybody thinks here that, you know, we're acting outside of the community, go right back. It's community-led, community-driven. We don't even have a source of funding. We're using our savings to pay for the study and the build. So I don't know how more to respond to the question. Is that if somebody wants to sit down here and reach out and have a conversation, we'd be happy to do so. But if you want to talk about your system and your envelope or your product, I just forward it. Somebody sent me stuff, a manufacturer in Hempcrete. Don't know what it is, sent it to Melanie. I'm just saying is don't talk to the chief about technical gobbledygook. Don't know what it is, building code 5. But I will say this. The codes that exist today don't meet the needs of my family. There must be a new resiliency code, and we're not there yet. That's what this test will show, that if you're going to survive the next 100 years, you better probably exceed code.
Thank you so much, Chief Patrick. So the clarity there is, and that is exactly what is happening, is anything technical, anything that's a specific material or building solution is coming straight to the SAIT team. We've been already generating a lot of interest with some of the media around this project, and we've made sure to invite everyone that has already reached out to participate. In terms of practicing from a respectful stance, Scott, to that comment, we're not. The reality is the building materials today are the building materials we have. So we are bringing those together, and we will be working with Chief Patrick in terms of selecting the right combination of materials and solutions to build these 4 homes. We are relying on the expertise of everyone on the team to bring different perspectives from both from industry, from construction, from academic, from research, and then from Foresight in being able to effectively evaluate and build a program to be able to review and select. So I think participation is enough. I don't think that anyone would be disrespecting by participating in any way by putting forward a solution. Is that fair to say, Chief Patrick?
Absolutely, and said I'm all about engagement, but again, time is a premium, as David pointed out. So if you need more information, I'm happy to speak to you. I just can't imagine, you know, sitting down here meeting. Everybody's busy, but this is really important, and we will share that information. And if we need to have sort of like a bi-weekly updates like this, happy to do that.
Absolutely. So if there's interest and folks reach out here either through the chat, if you have interest in regular updates, please let us know. We are opening up a lot of the communications to be public. We want people to learn from this process. We want people to learn what's happening at Kanaka Bar. We are one project of many, to be quite honest, and there are a lot of really great things happening in the rebuild.
If I can jump in on that, Melanie, there is on the challenge website, you can sign up for updates. And that way you'll get we have a frequently asked questions, FAQ, that will be updated with answers to any questions that are sent in, and that you'll be alerted each time that that's updated, so you can keep up to speed with all the new information as it comes out. And then, yeah, Melanie, if you jump on the Q&A as opposed to the chat, there's a number of questions in there.
Oh. I don't see the Q&A.
If you'd like, I can read them out and let you and Ben. So from the top, under fire resilience, are we talking life safety, or does the building need to be usable after a major forest fire?
Right, so I can address that. So we recognize that no material or building or solution is 100% fireproof. What we are aiming to do is protect the interior and the structural integrity so that we don't have a complete burn down of the building and have to start from scratch. So that would be the ideal goal. Recognizing that, again, we're working with the materials that we have today and looking at pulling together the best balance of solutions.
So in other words, as close to possible as usable after a forest fire, accepting the reality of current materials.
Exactly, and recognizing that there may be some sacrificial materials on the exterior of the building to support protecting the core structure.
Perfect. Then this is a question for Chief Patrick. Chief, very impressive for sure. Wondering if you have had the opportunity to seek the support of AFN yet. I reached out to them yesterday and my contact was not aware of your initiative. Perhaps AFN is online now.
Absolutely. So BCAFN, I don't blast email. I write to their climate change person and she's registered for the event. Whether she's on the event, don't know. But certainly Regional Chief Terry TG was on the CBC this morning talking about a few things happening in Ottawa. They're going to be well aware, and they've been following the story up to today's date. They've watched the November 25th video. They've watched the December 14th video. Obviously, they're going to be following the story as well, because the solutions and the studies and the build has implications for Indigenous communities across Canada, for the homes that are basically there and for the new builds that are coming. I want to go back, though, to this question that was raised before. If we build buildings that can withstand a fire, One of the challenges that Lytton is faced now is that the buildings that they had were penetrated by the smoke. So there's a lot of smoke damage and potential contamination. So that's why that envelope becomes so important. How much can we seal it so that the outside air doesn't get in and bring in the stuff? So as I understand it, many of the homes have to be power washed and tested again to ensure that they're habitable. And that's just because it's just they're bad envelopes.
Perfect. Thank you. Next question, is there any information available about the proposed foundations of the building, and have any geotechnical investigations been completed, and are they available for review?
So the foundations are, we're currently, we just selected the sites. So the foundations are going to start being designed in the next couple of weeks. But we're still clearing the land and finishing the site surveying. There's a road that's going in on the site, so we don't have a final update on the land available. We know that the buildings themselves will measure approximately 50 feet by 40, somewhere in there. So please use that as your rule of thumb when you're presenting. And then we can we'll update folks if that changes. But for right now, that is 2 duplexes, 25 by 40, which is 1,000 square feet. They're very simple. The immediate need is to get displaced residents of the region into affordable housing immediately, and that is our goal, into safe housing that addresses these needs.
Perfect, thank you. So another question, this is a good one. Are you looking to work directly with material suppliers to piece together a solution, or are you looking for a more complete design build proposal? So Melanie, definitely for you.
Yes, individuals, please. We have a design. We're working on a design, and part of the project here is that Seko Construction and SAIT will work together with our partners at Okanagan College and Kanaka Bar, Foresight, to put together a kit of parts, so to speak, because we are looking at assembling different solutions, different materials together in 4 different builds. So just to be clear, if you had, say, a roofing system that was proposed, that doesn't mean it will be on all 4 buildings. It may just be on 1. It depends on what we receive in terms of submissions for this project, and then which solutions match which ones the best to achieve the goals. So that's what we're looking at. That is the lens that we'll be evaluating everything with. I mean, if you'd like to propose larger solutions, you're welcome to, but we do have a design team that is weighing all of the considerations for Kanaka Bar, for the residents, and for other development and projects that are going on in the region.
Perfect, thank you. So there's been a few questions about updates. Siddharth has put a link to the website in the chat. But I do want to flag that if you are interested, please do go onto that site and sign up for updates. I would also flag that this webinar is being recorded. So yes, you will be able to go onto the website, find a link to it and share it. And I believe SAIT and others are talking about actually having links to it on their websites as well. But certainly the challenge website itself will have a link to it.
Yes, and we will we'll be supporting Kanaka Bar in getting content up as well, linked to their website. And if you'd like to learn more about the community and some of the activities that are happening there, that will also be the place to go.
Yeah. Okay, so that's it for the questions that are currently open. Any other questions from folks in the audience?
There were a couple of questions earlier on in the chat, David, if I may address a couple of these
Please.
things. I know someone asked about photovoltaic, solar ready, and passive solar. Yes, we will be. Siting is very important for the project to build something that is truly energy efficient, addresses the high solar heat gain in the summer, and what we are now seeing as extreme cold events in the winter, as well as maximizing as much energy opportunity as possible to reduce those costs. So yes to passive design principles, yes to renewables. There is an adjacent project to where this one is sited. We will be tying into the major utilities for that project, which will reduce the cost for this one from that perspective. And that project includes a large solar array. And then we will be looking for renewable solutions for these 4 duplexes as well.
And another question just popped up here, wondering what's the % of opening for windows and doors?
We haven't determined that yet because we're interested in what the solutions are that we coming forward. At this point, the recommendation look to BC Step Code 5, and we will be using the standard there as a minimum guidepost. And we will actually be looking to reduce the openings because we know that is David's chuckling. We want to reduce the amount of risk of things like windows exploding, and in a high heat fire scenario. Something to note when it comes to fires is that yes, the fire itself burns. The heat from the fire, from the blaze, actually does a tremendous amount of damage and more, I don't want to call it interesting damage, but unusual things to buildings, where the heat of the fire in the town of Lytton was over 1,000 degrees. So imagine, there was another comment here in the chat about the chemicals. Yes, I mean, siding melts. Certain kinds of materials we know now melt and leach all sorts of chemicals into the ground. We know that certain draft considerations, a lot of the peaked roofs pulled embers through and caused fires in the interior of the homes, just by nature of the way that the airflow works with a home. So lots of different things to be considered. When we're talking about things like fire, we know what mold does. We know what water does to a large extent. So start to put that thought into fire and how we can look at changing things a bit in terms of those materials, how they get put together, how they'll hold up against the heat, and what the impacts might be, because we know there'll be impacts. So how do we mitigate those impacts? Do we put something at grade that captures the melted siding off the side of the building when there's a fire event? That can happen. There's a lot of things that are up in the air. We are creating something new. We're creating something that hasn't been done before. So we're very excited that you're all on the call. We're very excited for the questions and all of the ideas that are being proposed here, as well as I know many things are thinking of. Share your thoughts in your applications. Please share your thoughts.
I just note there's a question in the chat from earlier. With the use of newer technologies and systems, how do we abide by current building codes that take years to change or update? I see Chief Patrick smiling on this one.
Chief Patrick doing.
Yeah, precisely. It's an excellent question. I referenced the fact that there's something out there called the Resiliency Code that doesn't exist. How can you get a permit from a guy who's never seen or experienced some of the systems that are out there? Some envelopes, some systems haven't even been brought into this country. I'll bring them in. How you get it across the border, don't know. But that's okay. I'm just the client. I pay for it. It's up to Seko to sit there and figure out how to get it here. Thanks, Seko, for that. Resiliency codes. We can meet or exceed if a 4-inch wall is great, why not go 6? At some point in time, there is going to be a breakdown and returns. So, if an 8-inch wall will work, why not use 8-inch? So diminishing returns is what I'm concerned about. But at the end of the day, we are going to exceed any type of known code. At Kanaka Bar, safety first, legacy asset second. We will not build shows. Sorry, can you say that on a, well, there's only a 97 people. We will not be rolling out substandard products. You remember, people will be coming from across BC and potentially Canada to look at these products. They will be a legacy asset so that people will say, I want that wall, I want that system. Let's give everybody that choice. And so we're not going to be skimping on code, whatever this code is. I know that's what everybody tries to do, but we don't do that at Kanaka.
I think the one variance to chime in really quick in regards to building code, largely we will be going above and beyond code requirements. I think where we have the non-traditional building systems, we might not be meeting the prescriptive Part 9 structural requirements of code, such as for potentially some prefabricated envelope systems. In those regards, we would be proceeding in the same way that is done now with engineer architects stamping as needed. But in terms of energy performance and basic life and fire safety, we will be going above and beyond code for the vast majority of it. I think the only aspect where we might not be meeting the letter of code would be if some pre-manufactured solutions are provided that don't fit directly within Part 9. And in that case, it's the standard procedure of an engineered certification on that.
Thank you both, Chief.
Sorry,
Oh.
yes, thank you. But we've got some more questions coming in the Q&A. One, can you make a comment about how cost of materials will be factored into the decision?
This one's a challenging one, and I'm going to address a comment in the chat as well, which was about the implementation plan and budget. So at this point, we are looking at affordability as a major driving factor as part of this project. We're talking about displaced persons in a small community, and we really need to be able to do this affordably. That being said, there could be parts of the solution that come in and they're perhaps more costly than others. That doesn't mean that they're not going to be considered and used. It's going to be about balance. At this point, we don't have a detailed budget because we don't know what the materials are that are going to be proposed through the challenge. Once we're able to receive the applications, we will be building the 4 duplexes from the materials that are provided through the challenge, as long as they meet, some of the base criteria. Then we're going to have, we'll probably have some gaps. There'll probably be some materials that don't show up in the challenge as submissions, and that's where the leverage of Foresight, of Okanagan College, and of SAIT comes in, and Seko comes in to be able to reach out to product and material providers to propose and bring some of the things in. We're expecting a range. That's okay. We want to be able to weigh all of the checks and balances for things that have a range of costs, that have a range of properties, that have a range of solutions for meeting different criteria. A solution might come forward that only meets 1 criteria. Another solution might come forward that meets 4. We might select both. Because as I mentioned, we're building 4 different duplexes. They'll be based on the same floor plan, but they will be 4 different combinations of materials and solutions to achieve the criteria.
Perfect, thank you. So we have a question here. Do you see it as a challenge if I, as a supplier located in Denmark, apply with a solution, given the short startup and construction period and the time I would expect to spend on transporting the solution to Kanaka? And also related to that, will there be challenges with import restrictions or tariffs?
To be honest, we don't know the answer to that specifically because we don't know what solutions are going to be submitted through the application process. We recognize that things that will be coming from further away will have tariffs, will have shipping costs, and that will factor into the decision making for sure. That doesn't mean that anything that's coming from outside of Canada's borders or even outside of Western Canada is excluded. We want to entertain all solutions that are proposed, and I would like to remind everyone that while a solution may not work for this particular project, there are many more to come. This is the very surface of where we can go with building this concept of a resiliency code and highly resilient buildings, period. So we want to be able to share all the solutions that came forward to say, here's a great list to start with of all sorts of resilient solutions that can address a whole number of needs.
Excellent, thank you. Is there also any need for new technologies for monitoring performance and energy usage of the buildings?
Absolutely. Please propose some solutions for whether it's an actual product or an app or a new way of looking at the data. Please, by all means, include that as well.
And I think I saw Chief Patrick putting his hand up there as well.
Oh.
Yes, thank you so much. I was on the internet the other day and I found this. You see this card? It says I'm a chief. If I want your damn product, I'm going to pay for it. Anybody starts screwing you at the border, then the chief's going to show up with his card. We already have MPVs monitoring this, right? We know that Minister Hussain is monitoring this. So you need to understand here is you have a product that we need to roll out. We can get it here. The one thing I do want to say is regardless of the size of your system, please put it in a shipping container because I need those too.
That is an excellent point, actually, Chief. So, consideration for everyone with shipping containers. Let's see. There were a couple other things here in the chat. One about connecting with FireSmart Canada, FireSmart BC. Yes, yes, we are considering all of the protocols that are being offered there and reviewing those carefully. Chris Hill is asking, how can we facilitate collaboration? Chris, if you could elaborate, are you talking about collaboration between interested parties in the challenge? Interested parties, okay. So perhaps, David, I'm actually gonna flip that to you in terms of managing, connecting people.
If you get your application in early and highlight in it how you would like to collaborate with people, we might be able to set up connections. The biggest challenge on that, frankly, is the timing with just, a hair under 3 weeks in order to get everything in and done. Time is very tight, but if you get a note in really early to us, or you can even email the challenge website or challenge email address and say, here's what we're looking for. And if we get a number of people who appear to have potential matches, then we can share them with each other. But yeah, I will caution that just due to the time available, that there's not a lot of time for doing matchmaking.
Mm-hmm. David, Ben posted an idea here with perhaps using LinkedIn as a way just to connect. I think perhaps a quick and easy way would be if I'm gonna, since it's Ben's idea, look for Ben Hildebrandt on LinkedIn, and we will we can start a thread on a post specifically, and then we'll invite folks to just post in that
Yeah.
thread of conversation, interest in collaborating, and then perhaps a link to your own site or a little bit of information about your product. And then that way we're
Good idea.
facilitating a bit of connection there.
Yeah, I'll start a post for that right after we're done the call here. And
Okay,
I'll
thanks,
post
Ben.
my LinkedIn profile link here in a second.
Excellent. Thank you. And yeah, there's a comment from Wilma. We need more challenges and competitions along these lines. Absolutely with you on that. We are working behind the scenes to try and make this a first of, as opposed to a one-off. Yeah, there's a ton of opportunity here, and noting time is tight. We're getting close to 9 o'clock. Before we run out of time entirely, and knowing Chief Patrick has another meeting to go to, I've seen a lot of folks in the chat expressing their admiration and their thanks for the leadership that's being shown here. And I just want to add my personal thanks to you, Chief Patrick. This is by far and away the most inspiring challenge I've ever been involved with. And it is entirely due to your leadership. And just a personal thank you to you for showing that leadership, for stepping up to make this happen. Kanaka Bar needs this, but the entire country needs this. And yes, my thanks to you for that.
Thanks, everybody. Then, so I'm going to just quickly bring it to a close. Then, precisely the reason why we're doing it. When June 30th occurred, individuals lost their homes, families lost their homes, people lost their businesses. 1,200 people fled to the north, to the east, to the south, and to the west. My family was one of them. I work 18 kilometers south. It's a great tragedy, but there is an opportunity. On October 15th, the final words that were said was that it was the actions of a few that is destroying the world for the many. But it was ended with, but it will be the actions of a few that will save the world for the many. This isn't just about me and or Kanaka Bar. This is about us staring down a global existential crisis. And ladies and gentlemen, I will not go gentle into that good night. I'm going to hit them over the head with LEDs powered by renewable energy and a brand new battery storage system. Just need to find out about them because the lag time on Tesla is 18 months. There's got to be something better than Tesla on the market. Thank you guys so much. Share this story. Ben, if I knew how to LinkedIn, I would share you, but I don't LinkedIn, I don't tweet. Go on to our website. There's links to YouTube, all that sort of stuff. Let's just get crazy and give Canadians something to cheer on. So thanks, everybody. Stay well, stay safe. And I'm sure we'll be updating everybody soon.